Like, you see that your man has a lot of potential. You see that he needs help. Why? Because you are his mirror. So you see things in him that he cannot see in himself. And you may even have the answer of what he needs to do to help himself. However, like you said, you can't push, you can't force, you can't control. Why? Because you're just going to make the situation a whole lot worse. So what you need to do is you need to take yourself to therapy and not just go to complain about what's not going well. Like,
Mhm.
that's fine. You could talk about that stuff. That's okay. But you need to make sure that your primary objective is to know how to support that person that you're with without trying to force them to do something that you think that they need to do. And the best way that you can support is by you becoming a better version of yourself. Because when someone is struggling, when a man is struggling internally, he doesn't want to show it most of the time. And again, a lot of times he doesn't even know that he's struggling internally.
Right.
So you have to be able to develop an immense amount of compassion and patience to see him literally, not from the man that you were with, but see him from the boy that was hurt.
Mm.
See him from the boy that was hurt, then it changes how you interact with him. And then that in itself, it raises the compassion meter because now you're like, oh, wow, he's not doing these things because he's intentionally just wants to do them. He's doing them because this is how he protected himself. These are the beliefs that he developed as a man to help him get to this point. Why did that happen? How did he develop those beliefs? Well, because his dad wasn't this, or his mom wasn't that, or his siblings. Like, just understanding the framework of him and how he grew up as a person, that's really going to help you. And you need a third party to help you with that. You need an outside source to
Yeah.
help have that perspective.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's the best thing that you can do. I know a lot of women don't like that answer because it's like, it's not directly solving the problem. But you don't
Yeah.
realize when you take that posture and you take that stance, you are literally creating a space for him to eventually, and we don't know when, eventually come out. And then you learn how to have certain conversations with him to help him feel safe. And then you be like, man, I don't know, you're going through all these things. I think maybe you should look to speak to someone that can help you. You just leave it there. You leave it there. Just drop that seat.
Yeah. And, and I know the one of the responses is, well, what if they don't wanna do it? What if it's to the point where it's just really causing a lot of damage in our marriage and our relationship? Should I, even though I'm doing the work on myself, should I stay? Should I dissolve? I know one of the things for me is that if it is abusive, I do recommend a safe space just because of what abuse does to people. I don't really necessarily agree with people staying in abusive situations, but I would love to know from you. And I think at the end of the day, it boils down to people deciding what they want to do for themselves. But
Mhm.
just as a therapist, just helping people navigate that
Yeah.
decision. You
Okay.
understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Great. Great, great question. Great question. And I wanna just, piggyback off what you said. If it's an abusive situation, just get out of there. Like, there's no that what I just said does not apply for that. That's all
Right.
right. I want to get that clear. That doesn't apply for that. So we took the first step. You've done your work. You're doing your work. You're leaning into compassion and understanding and seeing him as the boy he was and not the man that he is. You're doing all of that, yet the needle is not moving. Now, the next step, you need to create a hard boundary. And that hard boundary is what I like to call a strategic separation, where you're separating to see if the relationship can become something. See if it's actually something that he wants. Because you want it, but does he want it? And the way he's gonna show that he wants it is by eventually doing the work,
Mhm.
right? So I've done this with several couples or several, individuals that have come to me. For the very few women that I see, I've done this, and a couple of men too that have done this as well. Where it actually works. Where you say, look, I don't see how we're gonna move forward in a healthy way. There's just a lot of dysfunction. You have a lot of things that you're dealing with. I've been doing my best to support you, but if you're not doing your part in this relationship in order for us to move forward in a healthy way, then I don't see how we can coexist because there's damage being done. And then you have to say, look, I think in order for us to move forward in this relationship, we have to separate. And as we separate, if you want this to move forward, then we got to go to couples counseling. And then you have to do your individual work as well.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it really is a shared responsibility.
Absolutely.
It's really difficult to have a thriving relationship if both parties are not committed in doing their work individually and then coming together collectively. And I agree. I'm totally with you on that.